Hey, what's up, fellas? So I'm exploring. I'm exploring my new neighborhood, and I'm exploring M20. And so last night we had a session, second session, and sorry, we had a second session, and it was and it went well. It was great. And I've been exploring the game in a peculiar way. I think I've mentioned it in the past. What I'm trying to do with this game is see if it's possible to apply a style to it using the rules as written. So it's a really, Mage 20 I mentioned many times in the past. It's a traditional game that has a really old system to it, and some of the rules has been modernized a little bit, but it's the same, old World of Darkness, old school kind of game. And I wanted to play it, but I didn't want it to go through the hassle as a GM of having the burden of everything on my shoulder, since there's no mechanic to distribute the responsibility and do some cooperative storytelling. Since there's none of that, I didn't want it to house rule anything. I didn't want it to create new rules whatsoever. So I wanted to see, is it possible to propose a culture of play, a style that would allow for more collaborative storytelling. And so we came up with some kind of a social contract that was that was quite really simple, really easy. It's just when you succeed, you narrate as a player. When you fail, I narrate as a storyteller. So basically, I'm gonna bring adversity on failures, and you gonna tell the story on successes. And whenever you want to do something, you just do it. So you tell the intention, and as the referee kind of thing and storyteller, I'm telling you, okay, roll this difficulty, this and that, and then you do it, and then you narrate if you succeed, and I narrate if you fail, and stuff like that. So it's just really that's simple. I mean that's all I really propose. And we as a group came up with a couple of variations of the details of that, and there you go. That's basically it. Really, really basic stuff. And the last thing that was important for me was not to prep. So I wanted to. That's really interesting setup. Check this out. This is a private school, old seminar from a Catholic seminar, really old, really beautiful, really well maintained, really clean. I don't know if you can see that. Look at this. Really nice. It's like a big maze. The thing is huge. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floors. The thing is really, really huge. And so student lives there. It's private. Anyway, so it's quiet, and I like myself some quiet places to do my videos. So there you go. We have a new spot for the channel. This is gonna be a lot of where I'm gonna be. All right. So the other thing, coming back to my exploration of Mage 20, the other thing that was important for me was that I didn't want it to prep. So like I mentioned before, in story games and some of the indie games out there, the mechanic makes the game run itself. So you roll the dice and the game runs by itself. But in a traditional game like that, there's no rule for that. So the GM most of the time needs to prep a lot, create story, create hooks, create all kinds of stuff, and kind of railroad a little bit the thing, and I didn't want it to do that. So because I wanted a collaboration, and I wanted the player to feel that they have to do something, otherwise there's nothing, right? So what I have to do, the only way to be able to truly do that is not to prep. To me, I mean, have had this conversation before many times, right? So I'm not gonna come back to this, but I said, what? How am I gonna do this? There's no rule to support this approach. So it can be really bad. It can turn out really bad with just me improvising everything from the top of my head, and that's not cool. Because if of course, if you're good at it, it's cool. But if otherwise, it can sound cheap a little bit. We Null Inquisitor and I discussed that before, where a GM that is just improvising from the top of his head and take names and places out of his ass, like out of nowhere. Sometimes it can feel cheap. So I what I did is that I created NPCs, and I decided to have an NPC based prep, in the sense that I created NPCs, and everything is gonna, because NPCs are really important, and I love NPCs myself, some good NPCs. So what I decided is to create NPCs, fully fleshed NPCs. So if I follow character creation, I created these people, and all the NPCs have a character sheet, and they have agendas, and it's Will of Darkness, so they have nature and demeanor and concept and all that. And so I don't invent anything according to these people. So the only thing I do is that they have agendas, they have stuff, they are people, they are individuals, they have quirks and flaws and stuff. And the only thing I do is just I play them to the fullest. I respect the sheet. Respect the sheet. So by respecting the sheet, it creates all the adversity I need to go against the player's will, or whatever the player want to do, or whatever. So, or if it's not adversity, it's help, right? So the only thing I do is just I play these characters, and the setting has been established as a group. So the setting is just one thing I did is I created generic, neutral setting elements, and I just put it there. And just whenever I need and I feel like it, I just come back to these elements. And that's it. So there's no story, there's no big scheme of things happening, like then the player gonna go through these steps to reach that. There's none of that. There are setting elements, they're there. I have ideas, and all the players around the table, they have ideas as well, according to what's going on in this setting. But nobody knows, and that's the thing. So I cannot force them to do whatever I want them to do, because I don't know. And that's really important that I don't know, because if I know, I will be tempted to do the thing. And so that's it. That's basically just that's all I did, and it works. And that's the thing I'm really happy I wanted to discuss with you guys, is that the thing works. We were having a post-game chat yesterday, and everybody was kind of excited. The session went well, and I looked like I had fun. They looked like they had fun, and I think we had fun. And the thing is that I was telling them, I was like, geez, I think it works. I think I don't prep shit. I'm telling you, they don't. I do some prep though. I have to, because it's a traditional game. There's no rule to support, to support it otherwise. But the prep is really minimal. The prep is just the NPCs and some generic setting elements. So I don't. So no storyline, no plot, no, none of that, because and we were having this discussion, and I was like, geez, guys, it's just now what are we gonna do with this? Like, because shit happens. Because that's the thing, when you don't prep anything in terms of plot, you cannot you cannot like foresee in advance what's gonna happen, and therefore you need the player to act on the setting upon the setting. They need to act towards it in order for something to do happen, and whatever happens, either the dice will tell or the player agency will tell. And I love that. I love that. And one really cool thing that happened yesterday in that situation is that because we did something really cool, is inspired by Wrath the Oblivion, is the idea that in Wrath you have a shadow, and the shadow is played by another player at the table, and the shadow is there to bring you down and you get you into oblivion kind of thing. So the kind of player play against you, the player who plays your shadow kind of plays against you. And so what we did is that the player created their own avatars, because in Mage you have an avatar, which is your magical self kind of thing in the quintessence. And so it's like a prime entity somehow. And then I said but you're not gonna play your avatar, and I'm not gonna take the burden of playing your avatar. So what's gonna happen is that you guys are gonna play each other's avatar, and that created something really great. Is that everybody was willing to, obviously I asked for them if they are willing before that, but what happened is that by playing each other's avatar, it's allowing them to become GM whenever they do that, because they inject narration whenever they want. They do whatever they want with that, and it doesn't have to, because the avatar is helpful, neutral, or bad, depending on the relationship the mage has with it, and the nature of the essence of the avatar. But the idea is that sometimes like I don't have nothing as the storyteller. I have nothing, and the narration is going somewhere, and I'm not sure, and then boom, there's 4 players. So it's gonna happen. One of these guys are gonna bring the avatar somewhere. It's gonna be damn, and and so whenever that happens, it's player to player narration. So the burden is off my shoulder again, and and there's some cool narrative stuff going on, and cool story arc thing as well, because the avatar is really close to the character in the story arc, and so it becomes a distributed narration responsibility among everybody around in the group, and it's dope, and it works, and so I do think that the World of Darkness games who have like a shadow or an avatar or anything like that, if you apply a style like that where you give the responsibility to people among the group and stuff like that, they have a lot of potential to have a collaborative storytelling approach to them. I mean, the core mechanic is not there necessarily, but you can go a long way just with the approach. If the people are willing to do so, you can go a long way, because the damn thing works right now, and I'm really happy. Obviously, all the players in the group are working really hard because they have to take narration, and at a certain point I have 2 of the players in the game that took narration in their hands, and they started to play NPCs, random dudes they were in a after hour thing. There was a big party, verbena initiation party thing, and then some of the stuff started happening with the avatar, and one of the guys went into some kind of a psychosis, and then the dude who was playing the avatar started to play a random dude in the bathroom area, and they started to interact with one another and create a cool scene in front of the mirror when he was looking at himself in front of the mirror and shit. And I was listening to that, and it allows me to pace myself, take a break, look back on the rules in the book, and like what I'm think. Just give me the time to think about how am I gonna connect the narration, because that's basically what I end up doing. Because when these guys start to do their stuff, all I have to do is referee and make the connection in between their scenes or their narrations. And that's great. That's perfect. And then I referee the rules. So the storyteller becomes the one who introduces adversity, referee the rules, and connect the player's narration. So I'm not telling the story, I'm not bringing everything on my shoulder all the time, and that's great. Anyway, so just want to say that these little things that we discuss and the style of play that we use change the whole experience. And I think it does for everybody, you know, in many ways. And it's a powerful way to achieve your intention, to achieve your how can I say that? To achieve your game expectation. You can still play a game raw, but have a completely different experience. So you get best of both worlds, right? You get to be a gamist guy who loves himself the rules and to play by the rules, and then you get also to be a narrative guy and just, you know, and not go against the rule just because you want the narration to happen, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's great. So that's my feedback so far. More to come in the future. Thank you for watching. Talk to you soon.